Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can style with selectors and use variables and design tokens in Breakdance. Now a lot of people don't know that you can do this. I think it's quite essential if you have to work with Breakdance. So you will also be able to follow the link in the description below, and you'll get this basic framework to start you off with. So you're going to copy that into Breakdance. And obviously you can align it with your client brand documents, but it will get you going. I'm sorry, I still have a cough from Christmas. I can't edit them all out. Okay, so I'll just quickly say why I'm making this video, because in my own self, in my own client work, in my own agency, I like to work now only with bricks and etch. So since November, I've really drank the Kool-Aid on Era 4, WordPress, getting back to code. I like the direct access to the code, which etch gives you, as a backup tool for needing a builder that's more established. Sorry, in WordPress. I would lean on Bricks in that instance. So Bricks is a professional level tool. It's compatible with ACSS. Etch is a builder that I'm loving building with, and obviously I promote that to clients. But I might have moved on in that understanding and in my preferences, but the world around me, UK business website land, that still isn't wanting to move away from visual drag and drop page builders. So this is maybe for another video and a talk on that, but I feel like the UK really has a business website DIY culture, and that even shows in agencies and agency job listings, where a lot of agencies, they're marketing agencies, they're still calling for Elementor and Divi developers. Yeah, wrong term. I can move those people over to Breakdance. Breakdance positions itself very well for that, and that's where a lot of work is. It's not about my preferences all the time. So sometimes, or in some work environments, I'm working with Breakdance projects. A new project in Breakdance, even if I would prefer to take that to Bricks or Etch. So in that context and in that positioning, Breakdance is the one to go to. It's the tool I would promote to any marketing agency that I'm working with. So with that in mind, we want to use best web dev principles. Even though it's a preset first system, we want to use what's in Breakdance to style on the selectors to make our build repeatable and scalable and dependable, and lots of other ibbles, as well as just highly efficient to work on. And so we need to learn how to do this. Now, since I've been doing this, my builds have become a lot better to work with. They're cleaner, they're lighter, they they just look better as well as anything else, because there aren't loads of design inconsistencies despite my best efforts. So let's get on with it. First of all, you need to follow the link and get this, or have AI create something for you. This one does tie very specifically to the variables created by the Breakdance palette. Okay, so this is referencing the primary color in the Breakdance palette. This is referencing the text one. So you set those, and then these variables are going to tie to this. For those of you who don't really know loads about this, I will. I want to keep this short, but I will explain some things as I go along. These are things that you might call more like a value or variable, and then this is more of a design token, because, well, this one certainly is, because it's speaking about where you will use this. So this has an indication of how or where you will use it. That's kind of the weird nuanced difference between variable and design token, if that's a confusing thing. Okay, so let's grab this code, all of these variables and design tokens, and we want to pop along to global and custom code. All right, and we're going to add a style sheet and just paste them in. So these are now available to us throughout the site as variables. And the idea of the idea of best web dev principles is that we have one source of truth. So we have a range of padding, and that ties to, the small one ties to 1 rem, and the medium to 1.6 rem, and it stops the inconsistencies that we can naturally start to create within our designs, from memory. And this should really be tied to your brand document. Okay, so we've got that pasted in. Sometimes that glitches out, by the way, so keep an updated version on Google Documents or something along those lines. Right. I'm sorry. I can't edit out every cough, and I've just got to be like, I'm sorry, I've got a cough. Um, let's quickly set some colors just so that we can see when they're working. Okay, so headings, let's make it all just really disco. Cool. Background, whoosh. Okay, we'll leave it like that. That's good. Now, obviously, again, that's brand text headings, and these are referenced in the colors section here by these variables. Okay, cool. Save that out. We've done that part. Now the next thing that we need to do is create a few elements. So we'll do something very, very simple here. So section div, grab a heading, and this is a bit like a title section for sub pages. So homepage has a hero section. Obviously, it's one of a kind, really. A repeatable element that that you might use across the site is I call it the sub hero. So it's the hero for the sub pages. That's where I go with that. So I'm going to call this sub hero, and then we've got the container, and then we've got heading, and we'll have lead. Okay, cool. All right, so these are the items and the elements. Okay, now we could start going all crazy and styling them up on this panel. The main idea that we want to do is not to use this panel. Right, so as little as possible. This panel just won't be used anymore because what we want to do is style on the selectors. So we need to add the selectors, the classes, to the elements. So we're on the section, and I'm going to call that sub hero and create. And then we need the sub hero container. So this is using the BEM method. It's a really good way to organize all of your classes. I don't believe it existed, or title, or H1. I don't believe it existed when I was first rocking through CSS. And then lead. Okay. Right, okay, so we've got a range of classes there, and if we pop along to selectors, we can see a nice list of them. This is why BEM is so powerful. We have element specific, this being an element or kind of like a component, but it's unfortunately we can't save it as that. But we have element specific selectors, and they're all very, very organized. Now, this is where we have the power of styling on selectors, and if you're not really familiar, if I copy this, let's pretend that this is on page 2 and this is on page 1. I might decide that all of my sub-hero sections, the ones on page 1 and the one on page 2, I now don't want the color to be purple. I would like it to be green. So I could pop along and change it to green. Okay, and that's great. But then in Page Builder land, in Visual Drag Drop Page Builder land, Elementor Divi, even Breakdance often, I now have to go to page 2 and change the color of the heading. So I'd have to pop along and either have the fixed value or change it out. Okay, obviously you can see the inconsistency that's going to happen there if I'm not taking the actual hex value. So that's a lot of work. You make one change and you have to make it across a ton of sites because we styled on this panel, which is directly on the element via an ID. Okay, but this is where the power of selectors come in. Okay, if we look on both of these elements, they both have sub-hero title selector or class on there. Okay, so now if I click on here, or if I was to have gone to selectors and click on the class here, I can now make a change to the selector and it styles across the site. Okay, so one source of truth is this selector. is this class, and I can define everything just on this class now. So we can also change the size. Let's change the size out. We want it to be 40, well, no, let's make it bigger for an example, 60 pixels, and it changes across the site. That's the entire idea of styling on selectors. A big miss in page builder world. Now, you can, as you know, as a Breakdance user, you can save this as a design preset. Now that does come with a lot of issues. So as soon as you actually save something as a design preset, standard heading, we lose, the styling panel comes over to this item here. Sorry, so let's have a look. It comes over to the right hand side. Okay, so the styling goes over, but it's not as rich a styling, is it? So oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, it is, but so yeah, okay. No, I've got my track back. So we've got the styling panel. It's now on this editing preset. It's moved it over. But part of the problem is that if we were to do something like add a pseudo element and add something via custom CSS, that is per element. Okay, so when you create a design preset, it only applies to the styling panel of the element. So if I was to So yeah, okay. So text decoration underline. Okay. So if I'm now like, oh, okay, actually on these presets on these items, I would like to have an underline. All right. It's quite a reasonable thing that you might decide you need to do. Unfortunately, if I duplicate this, okay, that was a bad example because. Think, Chris. There we are. So it's a standard heading, but if I now create another heading, I'm sorry about that, and I apply the design preset, well, it's glitching. That's not very cool. Design preset, standard heading. Well, it's not even working. Well, that's a good example. Wow, that's not even doing anything about that. Well, you can see that the system isn't great. Okay, let's start this all over again. I'm not doing the video again. We can see, if you see that I did something that was donut-ish, please let me know. But I find the presets to be problematic, if I'm honest. So let's get another heading there. That's pulling from, oh, global settings. Did I not hit save or something along those lines? Typography, colors, right? The normal color for headings is this. Let's make it something obvious. Okay, so that's pulling in the normal heading. This one is stuck in a weird middle land. It now doesn't have. Oh yeah, okay. So the applying the custom CSS seemed to override the presets, apparently, which is not cool. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that again. We would like, what would we like? Let's just do standard heading. So that is applying. Let's do another one. Okay. Fine. Yeah, okay, fine. So we've got two presets, two headings set to the preset standard heading. Okay, that is working. All right, let's leave that. Now, if I've got one of these selected and I go to edit, right, I think we're good again. No, we're not. Go to edit. Okay, so we're editing the preset standard heading. We can change the color. Yay, we've got global control. That makes us feel like rock stars. We can even change the size, which is great. Now, obviously, I can. I'm sorry. I can add an underline using the styling panel, but I just want to add some CSS, and that seems a good way to go. So let's say that we want to add a pseudo element. Okay, so let's blah. Okay, or just something like that. Okay, so let's say actually on our headings we want to add a pseudo element because that's not something I would be able to do in the styling panel. All right, so it's completely separate. Now I've saved that out, but it's not going to affect the other headings which have this apparently global styling applied to it. This is a real bummer because the only CSS option I have is on the actual element. If I go to the global side of this, editing the preset, there is no CSS. I've got no options there whatsoever. So this again means that I'm not able to do that using presets. I still have to go page to page, element to element in order to do that. Shit, that took a long time. I wanted this video to be quite snappy, but it is good that you've seen that. Okay, so let's have a look at the alternative of that. Okay, so we're going to instead let's let's delete this, and we'll keep a style on the selector. I think I styled a few things up on that, didn't I? Right. Okay, so that's back to standard. Now, editing on the selector, I have all of the style options. Okay, so I can chuck in a different color. I can even limit the size. I should be able to. Yep. So custom, I might want it to be only 10 characters, which is a great option to have on your headers. Obviously not as 10 characters there. I can add an underline using advanced and decoration. Okay, so yay, we've got the underline, but I can now, on a global scale, on page 1 and page 2, I can add the selector, the pseudo element. So okay, so that is going to, I've got global styling now of that heading, and I can add CSS as well, which is really important. You might want to add some sort of hover or something along those lines. This is what gives me global control of that heading. The presets do not work. The presets have limitations. And so where possible, you need the full power of global selector styling. This obviously gives that to you. So the question is, when you have both of these options available to you, which one are you now going to use? It's as easy to do one as it is the other. But obviously this one down the line, just in case something is necessary, it gives you the option to do that. Okay, so that is how you add a selector and start styling on it. And I hope you can see the worth of that. Okay. So, right, lost my train of thought there. I need a drink. So, a bit of an insight there as to why, one, how to do presets, but two, their limitations. What we've done now is we've added all of our variables. We've added selectors to our actual elements. Okay, so we've got all of that nice and laid out, and it's all very organized, which is great. And now I want to show you how in Breakdance you can actually tie elements and style elements back to the variables. This is the bit that a lot of people really don't know you can do. So let's go to the heading on this occasion. And we want to go to typography. Now, obviously, we can choose the font size to be pixels or percentage, rem. What a lot of people don't realize is that you have custom down here, And this is where you can actually type in the variable as you would with any other tool. So I'm going to go with text. I think I've got an XL, and you see that the size there ties in with my variables. So I can go S or M or L, okay? And that is really important for keeping consistency in our designs, because obviously we don't always remember the hard, clear values, the specific values that we've put into elements. So let's have a look at, let's style the subhero container here. We're going to give that a background color of, I could choose this. We're going to give it a background color of var primary. Okay, so we're keeping that. Oh, I just need to move my face. So I've written that in the CSS there, so we can see that we're able to tie back to that variable in the sheet, which ties back coincidentally to the Breakdance palette primary color. Okay, so it's all nice and neat. Obviously, I could have just styled that on the color here, and that would have worked. What else might we want to do that we want to keep consistent? Well, padding is a really important one. So we want to keep consistent padding in our designs, and it's not a case of was it 1.2 rem or was it 0.8 rem. It's like, no, on these I'm using medium padding. Okay, so, or maybe it was L, maybe it was S. If you don't want that confusion, what you can do is something like on here. Let's have a look at padding. We've got padding subhero container. You'd want it to be quite specific, but this variable is tied to this padding value, okay, through that. So this is a design token. This is applying, sorry, this is applying this for this situation. Okay, so padding sub hero, if you want it to be a bit more like, okay, I know what that is all the time. Was that no hyphen? It was just the same. That's all it was. Subhero. Oh, do I have that on my actual sheet on here? Of course I do. But it's not working. Why is it not working? Let's have a look. Padding subhero. Oh, look at that. I've only got one. Why is that still being moody? Yeah, okay, right. It's all knocked into position there. Okay, cool. So that's how we actually tie that back. We've got the full triangle there. We have the variable sheet. It's installed on the site. We're applying selectors or classes to our elements, and then we're adding stylings onto those selectors. Even better than that, we're tying those stylings back to the actual variable sheet. So we're keeping consistency in our design. We're keeping one source of truth. This is how to best develop a site in Breakdance, or in any tool if it allows you to do it. Now, just a reminder that you can use the actual interface. So, in Bricks, you might well be using the interface while you style on the selector. It's selector first, but it does offer all of the click-through interface. Etch now does that with the use of the mini GUI. So you might be clicking around and adding all of this directly, and in that same way, you're able to tie everything to the actual the variables. So just remember that the way to do that in Breakdance is, let's take this element, go to typography, go to size, and use custom. Var text S, okay, or medium. All right, so that's essentially how to do that. Let's quickly throw in an image. Let's throw an image in there. Again, just to have a look at, what some of the limitations are, because sometimes you might end up trying to create presets, and then you have selectors and presets, a bit of a mix. That does happen in some of my builds, but let's just take a quick example. We'll take this one. One of the issues is that on the panel over here, we've got things like aspect ratio, and then we would have object fit. Okay, so once you, if you add a selector, so sub hero image, okay, we style on the selector, but we don't have image options here. In Etch, the mini GUI realizes that you're on an image element, and you'll get appropriate options available to you. In here, you're going to have to get with the code a little bit, and type in aspect ratio and then object fit. So cover and width, etc. Now you might find that you're just doing more in the custom CSS. That's what I do with Bricks, to be honest. But then of course you can add the radius. I don't, yeah. So if we've got a radius value, I think we've got radius S or M. I can't remember. Oh yeah, so we've got the radius M there, or we can have the L. Okay, so we can apply our radius either in the interface, or we could have done that here anyway, down in the custom CSS. Won't bore you with that. I think you've gotten the idea. Okay, so all of that to say, obviously I prefer now working in Bricks and Etch. I love being Era 4, closer to code. But if you do need to use Breakdance or a visual drag drop page builder, I am going to say that Breakdance is the best one that you should be using. It does allow for a selector styling workflow. It does allow for something closer to web dev fundamentals and best practice, even if it does promote initially a preset workflow or styling on the ID. Do away with that left panel, add your selectors, tie it up to your variables and design tokens. It's going to make your builds a lot more efficient, scalable. My builds have really improved since I've been applying this. Hope you found that helpful. Please leave any questions or comments in the comments below. And if you'd like some more specific tutorials, maybe you want us to build out team cards or something like that, using this method, then let me know and I'll bring that to the channel. Just a quick note, there are problems obviously with you don't have components in Breakdance. With a little bit of working around styling on selectors, this does allow that to be quite consistent. So you can alter styling on a global level, even if you can't change some structural elements across something like team cards. So just bear that in mind, but have a play and let me know how you get on. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you soon.